I noticed one of the beautiful things about your work is that you never do anything without the permission of the person's inner guidance. So if somebody is being evasive of a question, a therapist might come up and say, "Hey, you're evading that question. I need to confront you, or I need to talk to you about that."
Right.
There's an energy that the therapist can bring to help bring something to awareness that the person might not be aware of. Your approach is a little bit differently, right? Can you say a little bit about the role of permission?
Well, we have these, what I call protective parts, the critic being one. And then we also have these parts that have been hurt really badly. And because they got hurt, and now they carry all the pain from the traumas, we, what I call, exile them inside. And the protectors are trying to contain those exiles and also protect them from getting triggered. So what I learned the hard way early on was to go to these protective parts first, like what's called resistance and other things, and approach them with respect and just say, I get that this is a scary idea of going to these very vulnerable places. We're not going to do it without your permission.
Wow.
But if you were to open the door to that, we could heal a lot of what's in there. And then you'd be relieved of this job. And if you didn't have to do this job, being the critic, what would you like to do instead? And you'd be amazed, because it's often exactly the opposite of what they've been doing for 30 years. Yeah.
But around trauma, it seems there's a protective voices or protective energy that's been developed by the person to survive, right, around that trauma.
Right.
And so if I hear you right, that whatever's been protecting it and whatever patterns have come up to protect it, whether it's defensiveness or whatever, need to be understood and have compassion towards them.
Yes, so we work with those parts first, show them appreciation for, it's like the army or the military, for their service. And then ask what it is they're protecting, and then go for permission to go to that and change that. We don't expect these parts, even parts that suicidal or parts that have you addicted to something, we don't expect them to change until what they're protecting has been healed.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And what do you find is the key component to change? I mean, you've worked with people 35 years in this model, and there's a lot of people here who I know have done various kinds of therapies and practices. What in your years and years of work is like a key component that helps to support transformation? Is it when we turn towards what we thought was the enemy and make it our friend? Is that how would you describe that?
I've been meaning to use this line for a while, but as I was saying to the Dalai Lama a few months ago,
that part is happy now.
Right,
the part that wanted to do that.
Finally got there. It's a nice setup. I said, you tell us to go with compassion to our external enemies. Why not go with compassion to our internal enemies? So this is one of the basics of the approach is I find if you love what's in your way, it will transform. So, and most of us try to get rid of it and don't appreciate it. So,
Right, and that could be physical pain, that could be an inner critic, that could be whatever we think is the problem.
Yeah, all those, basically most of our thoughts and emotions are manifestations of these parts, and all kinds of symptoms are. And you asked about the key to healing. Early I discovered that if you can get these parts to separate in open space, this other person emerges who knows how to heal them and can take over your session. And has qualities like calm, compassion, curiosity, all these called the 8 C words of self-leadership. And spontaneously, to a part they hated, like I had you get some parts to step back and focused on the critic, was I'm just sorry that it has to do this. Suddenly, out of the blue, with no practicing, they suddenly have compassion for this part, and they know how to relate to it in a way that's going to help it relax more.
Beautiful.